Ross, there's only one word for what's on the table, and that is decadent. Ooh. Not only do we have two heavily sherried single malts, but we're trying them at the same time.
We are.
Which is daft, because they both merit their own video, but I think we knew we were going to love them both.
They're great. We're going to say roughly the same thing about both of them if we do them individually. But this is interesting because we're going to give them both equal opportunity and come up with a verdict at the end, hopefully, as to what we prefer. Off of taste, not off of price.
I think you need to bring that in as
because,
material.
Of course, we've both owned bottles of Glendronach Allardice, which is the 18-year-old. This is what the 18-year-old was called. It's recently been rebranded and dropped the Allardice. Whereas we've not forked out the money for Parliament.
I had a bottle of that when it was 90 quid. I think I got it for like 80.
And now it's 175.
I know. I should have bought 10 of them.
Yeah. And even an Allardice is probably, what, £120 now?
Yeah, it's getting a bit pricey.
That's the way Scotch whisky's going, I guess, especially for high-quality European oak whiskey. The James Allardice, the founder of the distillery, so the 18-year-old's named after that, and then Glendronach Parliament, after their Parliament of Crows?
Rooks, I think. We were talking about this earlier. It's a murder of crows and a Parliament of
yes. And so all these distilleries have these funny quirks and good marketing departments, so that's what they've went with. But 21 years and 18 years all in sherry. Now,
different makeup of sherry, isn't it?
Exactly. So the 18-year-old here is all Oloroso.
Which I love.
Yeah, whereas you're going to have some PX.
PX and Oloroso.
Yeah. So, for people that don't know, PX is the kind of sweetest, stickiest sherry. Oloroso is the most common sherry we see in whiskey production, quite nutty. But you look at these two whiskies, the influence, the age, the time, these are going to be indulgent.
18 looks a touch
darker, doesn't it? Yeah. Isn't it interesting? 46% and 48%, I believe. So, again, good strength. Distillery we're familiar with. Have you ever been up to Glendronach?
I've not actually. I'd love to go. I think they were super, super popular maybe 5-6 years ago, before kind of whiskey collecting and whiskey flipping and stuff was really a thing.
Yeah.
Since then, they've maybe got a little bit carried away with their own popularity, and could argue they think they're the next Macallan, and prices as we see it.
I think their sales exploded. Basically, they weren't ready to be as popular as they were. When I was last up at the distillery, I'd done the Sherry Masterclass, which was a normal tour that they included not only drinking the whiskies at the end, but also with the actual sherry.
That's quite cool.
So they're really committed to the belief that sherried whiskey or the sherry cask works so well with their spirit. Yeah. They've done port cask before, they've done peated stuff before, but this is classic Glendronach. Yeah,
this is their bread and butter. I do think it was telling that Billy Walker sold up. I do feel that's his kind of...
People talk so...
What he does, he kind of goes in, re-racks everything into sherry. It's a huge success, takes the money and moves on to another distillery.
Yeah, so certainly the reputation exploded under Billy Walker, because there was a closure in the 90s, reopened in the early 2000s. They continued to put stuff like the Allardice and the Parliament onto the market, but actually would have had much older whiskey than it would have been presented. So was that kind of gap in stock where if you get rid of the 15 and the 18, then you've only got a £40 bottle and a £120 bottle at the time. You're missing a massive market.
Yeah.
So Billy decided to keep them all on, which meant they were exceptional this 5 years ago and you fell in love with the distillery. But they were 18-year-old, had 22-year-old whiskey in it.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old had 20... it worked out.
It was 1996, 2001 it was shut. So depending on...
when it was bottled, you could work out it had to be 23, 24 years old.
Yeah, we've been very geeky and checked the laser codes on these bottles, and they are probably 18 and 21.
Minimum age. These were bottled in 2023, so we're not doing that historic stock today. Let's get them poured, see what we think. But a distillery that at one point was my favourite distillery, at one point was your favourite distillery.
Is it a bit kind of, I don't know, is it a thing where you sort of graduate from being a big Glendronach fan when your palate becomes a bit more sophisticated and you start looking for...
Well, I still like big sherry casks, as do you.
Yeah.
But I think when I was starting to try older whiskey, these were probably the two that were put in front of me and said, well, if you're going to treat yourself, get yourself one of these. And certainly with the Allardice, I remember getting it for Christmas, and that bottle lasted me over a year. because I only had it when I was really wanting to treat myself.
I think it lasted me about a month when I was like, I just want this all the time.
So what's the nose like on the
So good.
Allardice?
It's all chocolate and, Terry's chocolate orange and all these big flavours. Dried fruits, raisins, sultanas. It is, I'm not surprised you got it for Christmas, because it's all Christmas cake in a glass, as the old cliche goes.
The Parliament is a lot of that as well. There's maybe a little bit of leather and oak and here in the Parliament, but raisins, dates, all those kind of cliched sherried notes. Do you think it's going to make a big difference being 46 to 48%? See if you notice it.
I don't think so. I think they're both at good strengths. I think 43 to 46 can sometimes feel like a big jump. 48 feels like a very generous strength.
At this age as well. They're being more generous, giving you that. Palate's delicious in a 21.
18's great as well.
This is going to be quite interesting. Coming into this, I thought I'd prefer the 18. Having just tried the Parliament, the 21. I'm really impressed with the palate.
When I had a bottle of 21, I loved every sip of it. Never disappointed at all. Do you think the 18's heavier on the nose?
I think it actually is more indulgent on the nose.
Is that just like, obviously the colour of the 18's a bit
perhaps, but that smells like an older whiskey, but this smells like a fresher sherry cask to me.
Yep.
And this on the palate,
I mean, they're both
bloody good, aren't they? Isn't that annoying? Which we kind of thought was going to happen, but treacle, raisins, fudge.
Is it
a little sweeter, maybe?
Yeah. Can you get a whiskey like this for under £100?
This is it. Clearly not.
Yeah.
The only bottling of this age for this character that has come out since the Allardice exploded would be Tam Dew 18 probably, and even then it's
that's
£120. Yeah. Like it's also really expensive because obviously I think there's the cask, the supply.
You can't replicate.
You can't.
Time,
you really can't. And had they known this was going to be such a popular style, I'm sure they would have made a load more whiskey.
Yeah.
But especially in markets like the Netherlands and in Germany.
Yeah, I do think the price.
Cult following is what you think of when you think of Glendronach.
Because back when I worked in whiskey shops, I think this was about 65, 70 quid, which is outrageous. So I can understand.
Nowadays,
they bump the price up.
I like it. It feels very familiar. Haven't had a lot more of the Allardice in the Parliament previously.
I'd say the 21's maybe slightly drier.
I actually.
On the finish. Maybe a bit more tannic, a bit more leathery. 18's just juicy and
the 18 is exactly how I remember it, and why it was my favourite. But I am enjoying the 21. Full maturation in sherry also is fairly uncommon nowadays for core range bottlings.
Yeah, and these are also natural colour as well. I think recently they've dropped. I think it's the non-chill filtered thing. They no longer state on the label, but they do say that chill filtration isn't a thing.
I think everybody was quite upset about that when it was first announced. The cult following certainly were. Whether it makes a difference to how you can taste it, sure, people will say it can. Doesn't taste any different to me. That tastes like Allardice. This tastes like Parliament. So basically excellent sherried whiskies.
Yeah. Of the two, what are you leaning towards?
Drinking something every day.
I'm sure you'd take either, to be honest.
I would. I think I was drinking something every day. I would want the Allardice because after a few glasses of it, it's quite sweet. It's not actually overly complex, the Allardice, but it is good quality sherry. This is better than I remember it, the 21. So every now and then I'd go for that. My overall winner would have to be the Allardice. Maybe I am factoring price as well. What about you?
I think even totally disregarding price, 18 I think is a better tasting experience.
Yeah. This tastes older.
That's 9 out of 10, that's 8.5.
Okay.
Both very, very good.
Well, a pleasure to share it with you.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't disappoint because this is, these are both whiskies that we've...
They mean so much to us.
They really do. Like two of our children.
I mean, they're still both excellent.
Yeah.
But Allardice is always going to be a special dram for both of us.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bevvy content. We want to hear what you think, your best whiskey experiences, the whiskies you want us to try, It's a really exciting journey we're on, so make sure to join us. Download the Bevvy app on Google Play and App Store to keep track of your whiskey journey, connect with your whiskey friends, keep track of your favourites, anything you could ever want to do with whiskey, all in one place. It's the definitive whiskey companion.